Tonight's bedtime story is The Comfy Pumpkin by Karen Neal. It was Halloween night on Strawberry Avenue, and the street was decorated perfectly for the occasion. The front of each house had been tastefully dressed in spooky decorations and decked out with mystical candlelight. A warm glow emanated from every porch where pumpkins lay, inviting trick-or-treaters to the door. On one particular porch sat a perfectly round, bright orange pumpkin. The pumpkin was named Sprout, and Sprout beamed glorious candlelight from within his friendly smiley face. The green root on the top of his head curled upwards like a corkscrew, creating the illusion of wacky hair on top of his brow, and his skin was as smooth as silk. He was a practically perfect pumpkin. Above his head, black, green, and orange bunting hung from the porch beams, and across the door, a banner reading, "Trick or treat, welcome visitors to its threshold." Electric candles glowed from within the front window of the house, and black paper bats had been stuck to the pane for decoration. Sprout's porch was tastefully decorated for the occasion, and he was the festive finishing touch. Sprout the pumpkin watched the families who lived on Strawberry Avenue walk past his porch, up and down the street, dressed in costumes, knocking on each other's doors. He spotted a little boy dressed as a superhero and a girl donning a witch's hat with a broom. He even saw a baby dressed as an adorable pumpkin being carried in their mother's arms. Sprout loved seeing what the children had chosen as their costumes. The words "trick or treat" rang out regularly from hopeful young voices, while laughter and delight rippled from older ones. Every so often, soft footsteps would trample up the wooden steps onto his porch and stop at the front door by his side. Homemade cakes would be dished out from within, and happy little feet would scurry away with a thank you. Halloween was truly one of the most fun nights of the year, and Sprout was proud to play such a pivotal role in it. What was Halloween without pumpkins, after all? As the night drew on and the sky faded to black, the glow of the street gradually dimmed, and the sounds of people trudging up and down slowed to barely a whisper. The children of Strawberry Avenue would soon be tucked up in their beds, exhausted from all the excitement. Their face paint would be washed off, and their costumes would be retired until next year. As they dreamed of what they would enjoy from their bag of candy the next day, Sprout the pumpkin sighed with satisfaction, and his wide smile stretched a little bit wider. He wondered what he would do once Halloween was over. Halloween night was the pinnacle of every pumpkin's career. What would be next for Sprout in his journey, he wondered. Whatever it was, he was looking forward to finding out. All of a sudden, Sprout noticed a scratching sound coming from the other side of the porch. "Hello?" Sprout called out curiously. He listened as the scratching drew closer and closer until the sound more resembled scampering footsteps. Out of the shadows and into the dim light of the porch stepped a mouse. The mouse wore a red dress with a green square patch on the side of its skirt, and a long stick with a bundle attached to the end was slung over their shoulder. "Good evening," replied the mouse. "I'm Bramble." "I'm sorry if I disturbed you." Sprout smiled and assured her she hadn't disturbed him. He was still enjoying the last of the night's celebrations. "Oh yes, I love Halloween too," she grinned enthusiastically. "Would you mind if I rested here a minute or two? My feet are sore from so much walking." Bramble the mouse set down her bundle of belongings on the porch and sat next to Sprout the pumpkin, gazing out at the street. She pulled a tiny wedge of cheese from out of the patchwork square on her skirt, which turned out to be a makeshift pocket. She offered Sprout some cheese, but he politely declined. "Do pumpkins eat?" Bramble asked, intrigued. Sprout replied that they did not. "So what do you do all day then?" Bramble pried, nibbling her snack with her long front teeth. Sprout thought and responded, "I watch the world go by. I listen to the owl's song. I watch the wind blow crispy leaves through the air. I enjoy the warmth from the candle that burns inside me. I admire the stars and track the moon. I greet passers-by with my smile. It might not sound like much, but I quite like my peaceful existence," Sprout said. Bramble sighed. That all sounded nice. Bramble ate the last of her chunk of cheese and confessed, "I've never stayed anywhere long enough to enjoy all those things. But it does sound lovely. I've always dreamed of having my own house from which I could look out the windows and admire the view. It would be in a meadow with wildflowers and lavender, or by the sea so that I could watch dolphins and whales dance in the water." "Why don't you have a house?" Sprout asked. Bramble shrugged. "I've just not found the right place yet." Then Bramble glanced at Sprout and said, "You'd make a very nice house, you know. I'm not trying to say that you should be my house, but if you were, you would be a very nice one. Your 2 square eyes would make excellent windows, and your smiley mouth is perfect as a doorway. Of course, you'd need to hang curtains up to keep out the street light, but those are easily made." Sprout chuckled at Bramble's observation. He had never thought of himself as being a suitable house for anyone. He'd only seen himself as a pumpkin, nothing else. Maybe there were many things that Sprout could become that he had never thought of before. "What else?" Sprout encouraged her, delighting in the fantasy. "What else would you do with me if I were your house?" Bramble's whiskers twitched with a smile. She liked this game. She jumped up to her feet and walked up close to Sprout. "May I?" she asked politely. Sprout opened his mouth a little wider, and Bramble the mouse tottered inside, inspecting the pumpkin. She hummed as she took in the place. "There's plenty of room in here for someone as small as I am. You could fit a bed over there," she said, pointing to one corner, "and you could set up a little stove over there by the candle. And there's even space for an armchair or two right by the window. It's a pretty perfect space." Sprout's smile widened with pride. Perhaps she was right. Perhaps he would make a perfect house for someone tiny. Bramble reached out to touch the wall as she pondered. "Right here, you could put up some shelves." But as her furry hands grazed the inside of the pumpkin, Sprout erupted into giggles and shuddered. "Ooh, that tickles," he laughed. Bramble pulled her hand away quickly and giggled too. "Oops, sorry," she tittered. Bramble continued to whimsically design Sprout the pumpkin's interior, envisioning how she would like her dream house to look. She described the yellow and pink curtains she would hang from the windows and stitch together herself. She explained how she would build wooden flower boxes to drape from the window ledges and fill them with wildflowers like sunny primrose and violet foxglove. Every morning, she would pick fresh bouquets from the nearby fields and arrange them in a vase on the dining table she would fashion out of a cotton wheel. As for the armchairs, she would only begin with one. After all, there was only one of her, and she didn't expect much company to begin with. Bramble humbly boasted that she was rather good with a needle and some string, and she could easily whip up a floral armchair for herself with a scrap of old fabric and a bundle of fluff. Her bed would be easily constructed from a discarded tuna can and stuffed with hay to make a comfortable mattress and pillows. Then she would pull her patchwork quilt over her and lie there gazing at the stars out of the nearby window. Bramble smiled wistfully and stopped her designing as she looked around the pumpkin, visualizing it all. Sprout didn't want her to stop. It sounded wonderful. "Yes, you would make an excellent house," Bramble exhaled, dropping to the floor and rubbing her sore, weary feet. Sprout the pumpkin felt inspired by Bramble's creativity. He could picture everything she described in his mind. He could be magnificent, and above all, he would have a purpose beyond Halloween night. Providing a home for a wandering soul was a special honor, and with winter approaching, more animals than ever would need a house to retreat from the cold into creatures just like Bramble the mouse. Sprout watched Bramble rub her feet and paused. He knew he didn't have the views that Bramble had described for her dream house. There was no ocean outside or meadow full of blooms, but there was a rather delightful street full of welcoming people and animals. Christmas would arrive on Strawberry Avenue soon too, with its twinkling fairy lights and elaborate trees, and in the summer, the residents pruned glorious, colorful beds of flowers. Strawberry Avenue was always a delight for the eyes. "Bramble," Sprout approached hopefully, "feel free to say no, but if you wanted, I would be honored to be a house for you." Bramble gasped with surprise. She hadn't expected Sprout to offer. She hadn't expected anything at all. She had just let her imagination get carried away with itself. I wouldn't want to impose, Sprout. I'm sure you would prefer not to have me scampering around while you're trying to enjoy your quiet life." Sprout giggled and assured her that he would adore the company. Excitement bubbled inside Bramble until it practically flowed out of her. "Oh yes, please, Sprout. I would absolutely love to. Thank you, thank you, thank you." Bramble wasted no time in setting to work turning her dream house into a reality. The little mouse promptly unpacked her belongings from the bundle she carried. She didn't possess much, only a few special trinkets, a needle, and a patchwork quilt. But Bramble was handy, and her imagination and skills seemed to reach no end. She collected the components she needed and set straight to work, building her perfect, humble abode inside Sprout the pumpkin's orange walls. She dragged an empty fish can out of the house's recycling to make her bed and found a tiny dry paint pot she could use as a dining table. She plucked blades of grass from the garden to make a mattress and stuffed them inside the fish can before laying her patchwork quilt on top. In the trash, Bramble found an old cuddly toy that would be perfect for her armchair once she pulled the stuffing out. So she set to work collecting small twigs to form the base of the chair. Using her needle and some string, she tied the twigs in place, filled the gaps with stuffing, and draped a piece of fallen bunting from the porch over the top. She stitched the material tightly to the frame, and Sprout was very impressed to see a fully fledged armchair sitting there within next to no time. Lastly, Bramble thrifted a discarded tatty scarf off the street made from rouge and gold thread, which she declared would be perfect for her curtains. Everything was falling into place, as if it was meant to be. Sprout watched the little mouse determinedly design her new house and felt warm inside, and not just because of the candle. He was excited to see what it would be like to play the part of a house for a mouse. Once Bramble was finished stitching up the curtains, sourcing some shelves, and setting up a cooking pot, she boiled some water on the stove. She looked around as she patiently waited. Bramble still had much to do to finish transforming Sprout into her dream house, but she was content with the progress she had made in such a short amount of time. The little mouse yawned and stretched her arms above her head. She was starting to grow tired. "I can't wait to see what tomorrow brings, now that I have a new comfy home," she professed. "It will be fun to see all the people who live on the street." Sprout noticed a rustle in a bush across the road and smiled knowingly. He said, "You could meet someone who frequents Strawberry Avenue right now if you like." Bramble peered out the window to see who Sprout was referring to and spotted a plump gray figure with a long black and white striped tail tottering down the path in front of the house opposite. "Who is that?" Bramble asked. Sprout answered, "That is Munchie." Munchie often visits Strawberry Avenue because the families like to give him food when he comes by. Bramble giggled as she watched the greedy raccoon across the road scamper onto the porch opposite and pick at a bowl of candy that had been left by the front door. Sprout called over to Munchie the raccoon and beckoned him over. He told him he had someone for him to meet. With a mouth stuffed full of sweets, the ravenous raccoon waddled across the street towards them. "Good evening, Sprout," Munchie greeted through his mouthful. "Don't you love Halloween? There's always the best treats lying around." Sprout laughed and reminded Munchie that he wasn't particularly interested in food, but more about the decorations and the joy and laughter that emanated from each household. Munchie agreed that that was nice too, but the leftover candy definitely made the night even better. Munchie was surprised when he noticed the little mouse face staring at him from within Sprout's left eye. He gulped and knelt down to look closer. "Sprout, did you know that you have a mouse living inside you?" he questioned curiously. Sprout chuckled with amusement, and Bramble smiled her brightest smile. "I've only just moved in," she told Munchie excitedly. "I'm Bramble." "It's nice to meet you." Munchie shook her tiny hand through the window and welcomed her to the neighborhood. Munchie felt his tummy grumble. No matter how much he ate, he was never quite full. "Any chance you got some cheese in there?" Munchie tried. But Bramble didn't have any food yet. She would need to go foraging tomorrow to stock up the shelves in her new humble abode. Alternatively, she politely invited Munchie to join her one day for afternoon tea, which he unsurprisingly accepted. Bramble was delighted to make a new friend. Sprout watched their interaction proudly, happy to have helped introduce them. After a few minutes of getting to know each other, Munchie left Bramble to enjoy her first night in her new house and wished Sprout a peaceful evening. The raccoon continued on his stroll of the neighborhood, scrounging for drop treats and tapping on windows for leftover scraps of dinner. Bramble contentedly returned to her cooking pot and, using a ladle, poured herself a cup of tea. She happily settled down in her bed of grass with her tiny cup and a sigh. "Ah," she exhaled after swallowing a sip of tea. "Yes, I like it here. I can see perfectly outside through your left eye like a window. I only wish it weren't nighttime so that I could properly admire the view of the street. Her comment gave Sprout an idea. He offered, "In my opinion, I think nighttime has some of the best views. If you like, I could show you." Bramble nodded her fuzzy head with intrigue, and Sprout the pumpkin began to shudder softly. To Bramble's amazement, Sprout uncovered the roof of his head where his stalk protruded, opening up a window in his roof to the night sky. From Bramble's bed, she now had a perfect view of the glimmering moon and the shimmering stars. Starlight shone down into the pumpkin, illuminating the room with a subtle silver glow. Bramble grinned and admired the night from her personal skylight as she drank her tea. "I hadn't even noticed it was a full moon tonight until now," she commented contentedly. Bramble and Sprout stargazed together for a while, identifying the constellations and discussing the mystic of the moon. Bramble taught Sprout how to identify the North Star in the sky from the end of the Big Dipper constellation. Bramble attributed the North Star to being her guide through the night when she wandered. Meanwhile, Sprout taught Bramble about the moon's life cycle and how the moon controls the tides of the Earth's oceans. They agreed that the night sky was the most interesting time of day because it provided a window into the universe beyond their world. Bramble had just finished her cup of tea when she cried out, "Sprout, did you see that shooting star?" She pointed to a wisp of white smoke in the sky. Sprout had seen it too. "Did you remember to make a wish?" she checked. "The most powerful wish magic comes from shooting stars." Sprout chuckled and assured her he had, but in reality, he hadn't felt the need to make a wish. In the space of one evening, he felt like all his wishes had come true. He didn't need to make another one. Sprout was pleased to have a new purpose, now that he had Bramble to care for and keep him company. He didn't want for anything else. As midnight approached, Bramble's eyes grew heavier and heavier, and her furry body melted into the soft blades of grass. She pulled her patchwork quilt up to her shoulders and snuggled in. She closed her eyes. Her breathing slowed. Each breath became deeper. Just as Sprout thought Bramble had fallen asleep, she whispered from her bed, "Actually, I was wrong about you, Sprout. You don't make an excellent house after all. You make an excellent home." Sprout was confused. "What's the difference between a house and a home?" he asked. Bramble responded softly, "A house is the four walls that you live and sleep in, but a home is where you feel safe and belong." "You make an excellent home." Sprout beamed silently. He didn't say it, but he too felt like he had finally found a home with Bramble, the sweet wandering mouse. As the stars twinkled overhead, Bramble drifted off in her soft fish can bed, snoring gently as dreams overtook her mind. Sprout retracted the roof of his pumpkin head back into place and dimmed the candle inside him to the faintest ember, keeping Bramble warm against the October night air as she slept. Sprout then closed his eyes and began to dream. But instead of dreaming about pumpkin patches and crunchy autumn leaves, he dreamt of another day where he and Bramble would watch the world go by and enjoy the simplest of life's pleasures with each other for company. Sprout felt excited for the future that lay ahead beyond Halloween night. After a while, the door to the house opened, and a little girl called Darcy stepped out onto the porch. She looked at the pumpkin she and her mother had carefully groomed the day before and peered closer. Something seemed different. When she saw Bramble, the mouse peacefully curled up inside, she gasped with delight. "Mommy, come look," Darcy whispered back into the house. Her mother joined her on the porch and gasped with adoration when she saw Bramble, the mouse, sleeping soundly inside Sprout's pumpkin body. "Oh, how adorable," her mother gushed. Darcy asked her mother what they should do. It seemed unfair to move the pumpkin when a mouse had made such a cozy nest in it. They agreed that they should leave the sleeping pair be. They looked far too peaceful to move. Sprout the pumpkin and his new mouse friend could stay on their porch as long as they wanted. Darcy and her mommy tiptoed back inside their home, hoping not to disturb the little mouse house, and turned off the porch light. The candles in the window turned off, and the curtains closed. The house fell dark as the family turned off all their lights for bed. Only the street lights and the starlight remained to provide vision in the night. On that quiet porch, Sprout the pumpkin and Bramble, the mouse, slept tranquilly beneath the moonlight, safe in the knowledge that they had both found a new home in each other. We are drifting towards dreams now, the happiest, loveliest dreams you've ever dreamt. We're calm and cozy, your breathing is relaxed, and you can feel that lovely weight of the blanket keeping you safe and warm. Aren't you comfy? You are so warm and cozy, so sleepy as you drift into dreams. Count all the things you're grateful for. Let yourself fill up with all of the little moments that made you smile today. See the faces of the people that made you laugh. Think of the things that challenged you. Think of the things you learned and the practice that meant you'll be a little bit better tomorrow than you were today. Think about how warm and cozy and sleepy you are here in your bed. What a day you had. Wonderful things lie ahead for you too. You will have wonderful adventures tomorrow and the next day and the one after that. The whole world is waiting for you, but there's no rush. There's nothing more to do today. All that's left for today is rest. Deep, cozy sleep, the most beautiful of dreams, are waiting for you now. That's why you're drifting off gently into dreamland. So keep breathing slowly. Let yourself get toasty warm. Let your eyelids stay heavy and know that you are safe. Remember that you are smart, you are brave, you are kind, and you are loved. Think it to yourself. I am smart. I am brave. I am kind. I am loved. You are a dream. When tomorrow comes, you'll face it with a smile because you are smart, brave, kind, and loved. Because you are you, uniquely, wonderfully you. What kind of dream are you drifting towards tonight? You can dream however you want because your imagination is as wide as the universe. What will you find in tonight's dream? Maybe you'll see your favorite characters. Is that Hector and Sunny over there? Maybe you'll visit the moon, where there are mice eating cheese in the craters. Maybe you'll walk through Sleepy Forest, where Coco the koala is strumming his pink ukulele on the banks of Sleepy River. Let your imagination take you away. Your dreams are all yours, and you deserve the sweetest dreams of all because you are brave, you are kind, and you are loved. You are brave, you are kind, and you are loved, and you are wonderfully, uniquely you. You are a dream, and it's time to sleep, tucked up in your bed. Breathe slowly and melt into your bed. Isn't it warm and soft and cozy? It's time to rest. Take deep breaths in and out and let yourself relax. As you say goodbye to the day, Let your body get even heavier. Let your whole body go floppy. Drift deeper into sleep with every breath and say goodnight. Remember, tomorrow will be a good day because you have a big heart. You are a good friend. You believe in yourself. You know there's nothing better to be than yourself. It's okay to get things wrong. It's okay to ask for help. You can do whatever you set your mind to. Be proud to be different. Be proud of your achievements. Be proud of yourself. You are a good learner. You are a good listener. You are a good example to others. You are valued. You are loved. You are sleepy. So drift off now, little one. Let the dreams take over as you sleep. Let your dreams take you to magical lands and faraway places. Remember, there's no room for worries in your dreams, just magic. It's a magic place where anything can happen, anything you want. It's a place of positivity and light. Let positivity soak into you and fill you up. Imagine it as a golden light traveling from the tips of your toes to the top of your head. Imagine that wherever the light touches, you fill with happiness. Imagine that the light makes you feel calm. You're wrapped in a warm, cozy glow within your soft, toasty blanket. Isn't that nice? You are safe, tucked up tight, so sleep soundly all through the night. Sweet dreams, little one. I'll see you soon.